Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. WildMax1 here bringing another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're going to be doing another champion guide, this time on the first fusion of 2025. I'm talking about the Force Affinity support from the Knights Revenant faction, the Joker of Raid, Mad Hatter. I'll be breaking down his skills for you, showing you how to build him right for maximum effectiveness, and finally showcasing him in Arena and Hydra. Let's get into it. So as already mentioned, Mad Hatter was the first fusion of 2025. He was released as part of Raid's Alice's Adventure event. He was released along with Cheshire Cat, Queen and Knave of Hearts, and of course, Alice. And if you were around to fuse him, I really hope that you did, because he's an absolutely phenomenal champion. He's got heals, buff manipulation, turn meter manipulation. He boosts damage. He has Hex. He has Weaken. He can slot into virtually every team. Let's check out his abilities and see why he's such a good champion. Starting off with his A1, Dastardly Distillation. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 25 booking up to 50% chance of stealing a random buff. Each hit also has a 75 booking up to 100% chance of applying a debuff spread effect, taking one random debuff from the target and placing it on all enemies under a Hex debuff. And yes, spoilers, he does place his own Hex on an AoE with his A2. So this is a really good, it's potentially a buff strip and a buff spread all in one A1. Really strong, especially in Hydra, where you could have one of your block buffs champions potentially miss a head. Mad Hatter, assuming that head is under Hex, can potentially correct that mistake. Also, if you happen to have the Head of Wrath, for example, get a reflect damage on itself, he has 2 coin flip shots of going in and removing that. Really, really strong A1. On his A2, Mixture Most Foul. Attacks all enemies, has a 75 booking up to 100% chance of placing Hex and Weaken on all enemies for 2 turns. Additionally, the ally with the highest crit damage will team up and join the attack on the target. The ally will use their default skills, so their A1, and the damage dealt by the ally will be increased by 10% for each debuff on the target, potentially increasing their damage by up to 100%. This is on a 5-turn booking down to a 3-turn cooldown. This is really what makes him such a good damage enabler. Obviously, Hex and Weaken are there to support damage dealers. They're going to make sure that he brings some damage at the end on the meters for a Hydra run. But this ally attack component of his A2 is really what sets him apart from a lot of debuffers. Because if you have some really hard-hitting A1 champions like your Ninjas, your Toshiros, Mad Hatter is what enables them to get those huge numbers on those decapitated Hydra heads. On his A3, a Whiff of Madness. Increases the duration of buffs on all allies by a turn and decreases the duration of all debuffs on all allies by 1 turn. So this is effectively like a little mini cleanse, but also buff extend, really strong, and also fills the turn meter of all allies by 20%. This is on a 5-turn booking down to a 3-turn cooldown. So his A2 and his A3, both very powerful, excellent at supporting your team, making sure that really relevant buffs stay up on your team while potentially cleansing crowd control. So if the Head of Torment happens to get some fears on your team, Mad Hatter can just go in and effectively cleanse your team. And the turn meter fill is just gravy on top of it. Really great A3. Finally, looking at his passive, Time for Tea. No cooldown on this. Every 10 turns taken by allies heals them by 20% of their max HP, and every 6 turns taken by enemies places a True Fear debuff on all enemies for a turn. So the True Fear component of this, really great in wave-based content, potentially also in Arena if you bring him there. And then the heal, relevant virtually everywhere, especially really good in content like Hydra, because he's effectively like a pseudo-healer on your team, really strong. This is exactly the kind of passive that I'd like to see from a support, both disruption and support for my own team. And finally, let's take a look at his aura. 60 accuracy in all battles, really solid, no complaints. Looking now at the total stats for the Hatter, 23, just over 23k HP, almost 1.2k defense, and 108 speed. Those are great numbers for a support. When I'm going to be building Mad Hatter, you obviously want to make sure that you build him with enough accuracy to land all of his debuffs and allow him to steal his buffs. That's all going to require accuracy. You want to make sure that he's fast. The faster, the better. Obviously, that speed on your team synergizes with his passive. Every 10 turns taken by allies heals everybody by 20% of their max HP. And that's the other key here. He doesn't scale. His heal and his support doesn't scale off of his max HP. So if you only have defense percent gear, it's going to work great on him. All you want to do is make him fast, accurate, and make him survivable. So you don't need to just focus on HP when it comes to the Hatter. So when it comes to building your Mad Hatter, obviously, other than focusing on the key stats, which is going to be the most important thing, making him fast, accurate, and survivable, what are the best possible sets that you can put on him? For PvE, I think that arguably the number one set that you can put on him, if you can build it, is going to be 9-piece Feral. That 9-piece bonus where all allies deal 5% more damage based on each debuff cast by the wearer just supports the notion of him being this damage amplifying support. So his A2 along with 9-piece Feral, you should see a considerable increase in damage for your Hydra team or wherever it is you're going to be using him. The other thing to consider is he is so much more potent the more A2s and the more A3s that he's able to cast. So if you can put him in something that's going to allow him to lower his skill cooldowns or take more turns, that's going to be that much more beneficial for Mad Hatter. So the other argument for the number one spot other than 9-piece Feral is going to be putting him in 4-piece Merciless. That's going to involve utilizing some Merciless accessories, so it might be a little bit tougher to build this, but 4-piece Merciless in order to get that 30% chance for a random skill cooldown decrease, and coupling that with either 4-piece Relentless, 4-piece Reflex, or 2 Impulse sets. That's going to give you the most possible decreased skill cooldowns that you can possibly put on a champion. So up to you what you want to go for. If you can build 9-piece Feral, chances are you're probably going to build it if you're not going to be sacrificing stats too much. But obviously, after that, the best option that you have for PvE is to be finding sets that are going to be lowering skill cooldown. Now, when it comes to PvP, you could still make an argument that 9-piece Feral is the best set for him to use. Again, great stats, block debuffs at the start of the round, and a 50% chance to prevent sheep. He is putting out a lot of debuffs, so this could be really good. However, I'm going to recommend that pretty much no matter what, unless you have a champion with a lot of built-in survivability, like maybe a Cheshire Cat, you're going to want to bring in at least 1 turn Stone Skin on most champions. Mad Hatter is no exception in the arena. Having this makes sure that you don't get turn meter pushback, you don't get crowd controlled, and you don't get bursted down before you even get a chance to take a turn. Now, you could even put him in 2-turn Stone Skin because that's going to synergize nicely with his passive. It's going to give him an opportunity to stay alive and stay protected and allow him to passively be putting out those true fears. So if you want to couple him with somebody like a Fabian, that could be more of a crowd control, true fear based comp. Something like that would be really nice. But 4-piece Stone Skin, I think, is pretty necessary on him when it comes to PvP. Couple that with, again, speed gear, impulse gear, perception gear, whatever you have available. But keeping him safe for that 1 turn is going to be pretty crucial. Looking now at how I have my Mad Hatter built, as you can see here, no Stone Skin gear, so I'm not focusing on him in the arena. Instead, I went with as much reduce random skill cooldown gear as possible, 3 impulse sets. He is on my Nightmare Hydra team, so I want to make sure he's casting as many A2s and A3s as possible. For the individual pieces that I'm running with, I have HP Ring, this could easily be defense ring, HP Amulet, could easily be defense, Banner, accuracy, but I already have enough, so this could easily be defense or HP. It all depends on whatever content you're going to be using your Hatter for. For your gloves, defense percentage, HP percentage, both great. Same with the Ascension. For your chest plate, defense percent, HP percent, or accuracy, all great. And then for boots, speed, you want him taking as many turns as possible. For my total stats on the Mad Hatter, we're looking at just under 80k HP, just under 4k defense, 285 speed, and 500 accuracy. Now, I don't need that much accuracy on him for Nightmare Hydra, but I also use him in the Odd Cursed City stage. But really, this could be easily dropped, and I could even add more survivability. But I find that this is enough even for Nightmare Hydra. With that, let's take a look at relic options on the Mad Hatter. For my relic on Mad Hatter, I am currently using a Molten Death Bell. It's a nice budget option if you don't have anything else to throw on him. If you need to meet an accuracy requirement, this will help you get there. And it also actually synergizes nicely with his kit because you get turn meter each time you apply a true fear. If, however, you're looking for other options, or if you are simply looking to put the best of the best possible relics on him, a few other options are Orb of Transfixion works really nicely. It kind of mimics his A1 ability with the buff steal. So if you really want to double down on that, you could throw him in the Orb of Transfixion. Already mentioned the Molten Death Bell. I think, however, the best possible relic that does the most for his kit, does the most to synergize with his passive is Perched Shadow. The wearer has a 10% chance to receive an extra turn when using their default skill with at least one active skill on cooldown. So this is effectively like a relentless proc in a relic. And again, if you remember back to his passive, every 10 turns that allies take, he heals everybody for 20% of their max HP. So this synergizes perfectly with that. And for my money, this is the best relic on the Hatter for all PvE content. If you are bringing him into Arena, then of course you're going to want to throw a Wand of Submission on him. He loves the stats and helps him to not get sheeped, and also helps reflect back all those nasty crowd control debuffs. Pretty much a must for a lot of debuff placers in Arena. For blessings on the Hatter, you got quite a few options. Obviously, you're going to be building him with a lot of accuracy, so a really good one you could throw on him if you don't have one yet on the team you're going to be using him on is going to be Brimstone. Having that smite debuff really helps increase your damage in a lot of encounters. If you need a cruelty placer, he is a great one. He's got an AoE on his A2, and his A1 is a double hitter, so he's pretty good for this. And then, obviously, if you're bringing him into Arena, you have quite a few options. You could throw him in Life Harvest. You can throw him in Temporal Chains, both good options. And, of course, the ubiquitous Polymorph. And finally, looking at Masteries on the Hatter. Let me move myself here. Okay, so I already have enough accuracy on my Hatter, so I don't need to worry about coming down and picking up Eagle Eye. But, of course, that is an option for you. And if I were going to be bringing my Mad Hatter to Arena, I would be picking this up as well. There's a lot of resistance there. Support Tree as a primary is great on him. He's got a lot of extra accuracy here from Pinpoint Accuracy, Charge Focus, and Swarm Smiter. He's got potentially more turn meter from Arcane Celerity. He does cast a lot of debuffs. He's got a chance to have a random skill cooldown, which, as we know, great synergy with his kit. And, of course, Master Hexer allows him to extend his debuffs. If, however, you have enough accuracy, you're just looking to boost his damage a little bit on some encounters, then you can, of course, come down and pick up War Master, as I did. If, however, you're not interested in that, then I would recommend going Eagle Eye and then just dumping the rest into defense, picking up some talents that are going to hopefully have him be a little bit more survivable, especially in the Arena. All right, for the first showcase today in the Arena, we're going to be building a team around the Mad Hatter featuring Odin as the buff stripper, Sifi as the speed booster and buffer, and the Cheshire Cat as the DPS. Very appropriate given that they're from the same event. Team we're facing is an Armans, Krisk, Rhonda, and an Arbiter. We're going to hopefully showcase both the Mad Hatter's passive, applying True Fear to the enemy team, and also hopefully showcasing that hard-hitting A2 using the Cheshire Cat's A1. All right, so boosting up first with Sifi. Arbiter's able to cut in. So I don't want to just go right in with the Cheshire Cat. Instead, I want to wait for the Cheshire Cat to be under a veil, which is going to allow his A1 to become an AoE. So instead, I'm going to increase the duration of all of our buffs and boost our turn meter. Then I'm going to take out the Armans because I don't want to deal with that. So Odin, getting rid of him. I'm going to use Cheshire Cat's A2. Unfortunately, unable to place his himself under a perfect veil because he didn't kill the target. But now we have one triggered because Rhonda's damage was able to trigger the Shadow Smile passive. Now we're going to go in with the A2 of the Mad Hatter. We're unfortunately not going to be able to see the passive in this case triggering with the True Fears, but we saw there an absolute ton of damage coming out of the Cheshire Cat as a result of the Mad Hatter's A2. So not only was the Mad Hatter prepared to bring crowd control to that match, but he's able to support the damage the Cheshire Cat does. Even if we were in a situation, for example, where I decided to build the Mad Hatter in a lot of resistance and we were facing an enemy Fabian, the Fabian goes in, tries to put all of our skills on cooldown. Hatter resists it. Cheshire Cat doesn't care about it because very powerful A1. Mad Hatter's turn comes around, uses A2, and Cheshire Cat just cleans up the team. Fabian may as well not have even used his ability. So that's just one example. We're going to keep going here with another team. All right, next team up, we're just going to try to showcase the Mad Hatter's passive, in this case with the True Fears. So hopefully let the other team take a couple turns before we take them all out with Cheshire Cat. So I'm going to not boost our speed at all. I want to make sure their team actually has a chance to move here a little bit. All right. Let's go against a poor affinity matchup against the Sill. Good. Everybody's nice and alive. There we go. Stunning my team. Fantastic. Okay, that's 2 turns on their team. 3 turns, 4 turns. No block debuffs up on their team. This is what we like to see. Mad Hatter is about to do his thing. All right, let's go ahead and put this on the Sill. And there it is. True Fear triggers on everybody, takes away the Arbiter's turn. So if you're facing a team with no block debuffs, which is more rare in the arena these days, but this could be a potentially really devastating thing. Combo this off with somebody like a Fabian who reduces the buff duration on the enemy team, so he could potentially effectively strip off block debuffs, and then you pair him up with your Mad Hatter, and then at that point, the other team is going to have a really tough time taking a turn or doing anything. So can be really effective in Arena, but again, his primary place to shine is in PvE, and with that, let's go to Hydra Nightmare. All right, so here we are in Nightmare Hydra. This is the team that I typically use, with the exception of Cheshire Cat replacing Ninja. I just figured I'd keep the duo going from Arena, keep it thematic. So the idea behind this team, I already have a video on it in my channel if you're curious to see it, is we have several supports in protection, 9-piece protection sets to boost damage. That's Elva, Mikage, and Feral. We have ally attack boosters in Teox with his A1 and Mad Hatter with his A2 for our primary damage dealer, in this case Cheshire Cat. And then we have Mikage again with the ally attack. We have buff extenders with Mikage in her A2 for her base form and in Mad Hatter's A3. Keep all those nice protected damage increasing buffs on the team. So I'm going to go in on manual right now and just showcase exactly how this team works to increase the damage. So Elva, speed lead, and speed booster on the team. We have increase buff duration on and turn meter on my Mad Hatter. I will typically go in and ally attack just to get all those nice buffs up on the team. I'm trying to get the Head of Decay down as quickly as possible, just because in this case, I do not have any provoke champ on the team. So we want to make sure that we bring him down as efficiently as possible, as quickly as possible. So here we have Teox bringing in the attack from Cheshire Cat. We have the A2 from Mad Hatter still ready to go. All right, here it is. Let's see what kind of damage we can do with the auto attack. Not bad, 1 million. Again, that's on a non-decapitated head. So we are going to keep moving here. No, only 1 poison cloud went out. That's not bad. We're going to keep the Cheshire Cat auto attacking with that A1. Unfortunately, I think we're not going to be able to do enough damage here. Oh, maybe I was wrong. Oh yeah, we're good. All right, great. So this is the exact perfect start that we hope to see. We want to bring down the Head of Decay with this team as quickly as possible, have some exposed necks here ready to get damaged. So my goal now is going to be to try to set up some debuffs on the exposed heads, on the decapitated heads, without actually killing them, so that we can get the most damage possible out of my Cheshire Cat. So we're just going to throw away a couple turns here. All right, I think I can risk 1 hit here without... actually, I'm just going to go ahead and go in with the A3. So we saw 1.3 million damage there and 1.2 on the decapitated heads, just to get an idea of what we're dealing with. All right, we've got some debuffs starting to go up here. All right, let's see what we can do. If we go in with the Teox, then we risk... now we risk doing it a little prematurely and then losing some damage. Here we go. We have the A2 from the Mad Hatter that's about to boost all the damage from the Cheshire Cat. Let's see how hard he hits. There should be 4 debuffs up on this head, so 40% increase on that A1. Let's go. Oh, no. Okay, well, it appears that my Teox still had the buff from Mikage on him, and then my Cheshire Cat lost it. they were very close in terms of their crit damage. So then my Cheshire Cat was not able to be pulled in for that attack because the Teox technically was a higher crit damage champion. That's really unfortunate. We're just going to use a good old Teox A1 to showcase this in that case. Just making sure that we have enough duration. Yes, we do, in order to use the A2 on this head. All right, now we're just going to use the Teox A1, which functions similar to the A2 of the Mad Hatter. So in this case, you're just going to have to imagine it's the Mad Hatter's A2 going out and bringing in the Cheshire Cat. But here we go. Big hit coming in from the Cheshire Cat. Boom, 3 million on that, 1.3 million on the other one. There you see how it works. The more debuffs that are on the head, the higher it's going to hit, and it hits an AoE because of the nature of the Cheshire Cat in this case. But whatever damage dealer you have there, it's going to be so good at boosting that damage, and you're just going to try to make sure to slow down DPS or damage on the heads while they're decapitated, set up some debuffs, and then go in with that Mad Hatter A2 or whatever other ally attacker you have. But Mad Hatter has, like Teox's A1, the same kind of damage boost from all those debuffs. So this is the concept behind how it works. I may just run this on auto now and finish out the run, but there you see it. Big damage coming in from the cat, thanks to good setup from the team, and in particular from the weaken, the Hex, and the damage increase from the Mad Hatter. And there you have it, everybody, the Mad Hatter, one of the best damage amplifying supports in the entire game. Amazing in wave-based content. Build him right, and he will carry your teams to victory. If you like today's video, please consider liking and subscribing. Let me know down in the comments below if there's any other champion guides or showcases you'd be interested in seeing on the channel. Thank you for watching today's video. Thank you for your time. Have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one.